Hello guys and welcome back to another video, and today we have a running session with all of my blue locomotives, so let's get right to it. The first locomotive is Mallard, which is in LNER Garter Blue, gorgeous locomotive, and we will have a bit of a running session with this and then move on to the next couple of locomotives. The next locomotive is the other A4 in my collection, which is the experimental purple A4, which is obviously experimental purple. It's slightly purplish, but it's quite close to a bluey sort of colour as well. And there's no other purple locomotives in the collection, so I can't really do a purple running session, so I've shoved it in this one. Let's get to it. Here we go, and we will stop this one. I love this locomotive, and I've had it a while now, actually, to be honest, and this is a premium A4. Mallard is a railroad A4, but they basically use like the same body, and weirdly the railroad one is a bit heavy, but it's a gorgeous locomotive, and I do want quite a few more A4s. I'd like, obviously, a silver one. I'd like a BR lined green one. I don't want an express blue though, the BR Express Blue, whatever it's called. Just the BR Blue. Don't really like A4s in that colour because I don't like the black colour contrast at the bottom. I prefer them when they're all one colour. I'd like another Garter Blue. I'd like Bitten with a double tender as well. That's another one I'd like. I'd like a wartime black one as well. So yeah, quite a few A4s are going to be in this collection eventually, but obviously not at the minute. But we've got two. Two is better than what? Better than zero. Certainly better than one anyway, especially considering that they're two quite special ones. I got Walter before I got Mallard, so that was an interesting one. It's my first A4, this 60028, so definitely happy with it, and I've had it a while. So right, the next locomotive then, let's get to it. And now the next blue locomotive is a very, very blue locomotive indeed. We have the B2 Peckett, the Earl, which is a very nice locomotive. All die-cast locomotive as well, I believe. There's a lot of die-cast on these. They're very good models. Super detailed, obviously. Quite a good value, actually, considering what you get for the money you pay for these. This was gifted to me by Kelly Ashford, so I didn't actually purchase this locomotive. But I would like to get another one. I'd like to get Sherwood, which is the greenish coloured one. I do quite like that. So, yeah, nice loco. Just got a small little good strain with it, just to make it look a little bit more industrial, shall we say. But yeah, it's a gorgeous little thing. So, let's get to it. Good runner as well. Not too fast, not too slow. And that is the B2 Peckett. And we'll now get on to the next couple of locomotives. Okay, next locomotive is the HST Class 43. This is why you don't have old Hornby Railway stuff from the olden days, as it doesn't really run. Oh, it's getting to its stride now. Nope, it stopped. Nope, it's off again. There we go. Stopped again. Right, that'll conclude that running session. Right, next locomotive is the old Class 47. It's gone the wrong way. This will end up being a lot. This is a lot better mechanically than that, than those intercities. So, problem is, the body leans over just because, and bogies. I think it's a bit knackered, to be fair. Not in the best shape. And there's the current couple of blue locomotives. A few left to go yet. Get these oldies out of the way first. Move on to the nicer ones again. Not sure what's going to be happening with this old 47 and the 43s. There's a couple of other locos. May well have a bit of a clear out and get rid of the really old-fashioned stuff that don't really work and replace it and Partex it for something a little bit snazzier. In fact, if you would like to buy any of it, let me know. Comments below. But if not, it's probably all going to go in replacement for some more locomotives to come in, because I'm struggling in space at the minute, and I'm happy with where the fleet is, but I would quite like to just clear some bits out and get some newer locomotives, and not have to have the space taken up by locos I don't use, which is this 47 and 43. I do like the 47 though. We brought it back to life, and it is actually running really well, to be fair. It's just so tatty, and to get a new body on it isn't economically viable for the very little use that the loco gets. So it's one of those. But yeah. And stop. There we go. That's the old class 47, and we'll get on to the next locomotive. And the next locomotive is this Caledonian Pug, which was my first ever locomotive. Never part with this thing. I do love it a lot. And let's go. I've got to run these quite fast. They're geared quite high, so this hasn't run for a very long time, so we'll just see what it's like. There it goes. Nice little cloister coaches behind. I'm quite good with those. Not got enough Caledonian Railway locomotives, so this is how the blue collection is coming up now at the minute. Got quite a few locos left. I didn't realise that I had so many. One of them is Thomas, which isn't in the best shape because it's discoloured. It's not that noticeable, but this is a cute little locomotive, so it runs very fast though. There's the leaning tower of class 47. You can probably see that on camera that leans over. Don't know why that is. There's quite a few locomotives in this collection I don't use, and which would be better suited to being swapped for other locomotives though. That's the issue that we've realistically got. So, I mean, I don't really want to do anything with Thomas and Percy because it's Thomas and Percy, but I might have to get a new Thomas because mine's a little bit battered, so that would just make its way for a new one. Whether or not I'd get a Bachmann one is another thing, I don't know. They are a bit expensive though. To be honest, like, I don't really want Thomas and Friends locos in the model rail collection. You sort of have to, but I wouldn't. The only one I'd have is Henry, just because he's like my favourite character in the entire TV show. But I don't know. If I was to do a clear out, there'd be quite a few locos to go, but they're not like any of the expensive locos of all the dead cheap ones, which I've had for like years and which I don't use. And yeah, I'd rather have a loco that I do use and that's like snazzier and much nicer than a lot of tiny things I don't use, if you know what I mean. And build the collection up to where I want it to be. All of the pocket rockets would stay because I've got a use for all of them. Some of them are collector's club locos, so they're just collector's items, so they don't get used, but because they're part of the collector's club, I just collect that. I've just got them as collector's items. And then the other ones I've got, like this one. This is obviously my first loco, so it's sentimental that way. I've got the LSWR, which is the beam loco because it's just so fast. Smoker Joe. And then I've got the other little pug, which I do sometimes sometimes use. So there's uses for most of them. That class 47 is battered I'm bruised, but I do have a soft spot for it, I will say. But I've got a new Class 47 now, as you all know, and I would much rather get possibly another Class 47 in a different livery, but a modern Bachmann one or something, to replace that. And then the HSTs, obviously, I'd rather have a modern HST. They're very expensive, but there's a lot of locomotives that I have on pre-order or need to get that I would rather have, obviously, these places, and I need to free up a little bit of space. So I need to consider what's the best option realistically at the minute, and it might be to part X quite a few locomotives in for others. The vintages, I do have a couple of vintage locos. Obviously the mainline Prairie will not go anywhere. That is a loco that's got a lot of sentimental value to me, and I won't part with it. I will get another 262 GWR Prairie, but I'm going to keep that one. The other vintages are the older Bachmann ones, which have still got obviously mainline Hunting Manor, nothing wrong with that. Great member of the collection. And my Lima Class 60 will not go anywhere because that's also, it's actually quite a nice loco as well. It actually runs really well, it looks great, and I just get Hornby one in a different livery because that's the plan. So I've got every loco that I haven't mentioned that's going, I have a use for, and I do use, and I want in the collection, whereas the others I don't use, and realistically it's nice to have had them in the collection, but they just need to go to a new owner potentially who's going to use them a lot more than me, and in their place will come more locomotives which I'm going to use and obviously keep permanently. So there's 55 in the collection at the minute, and you're probably looking at that'll go down to around 50, plus the ones that will come in place. So you're probably not looking at we're losing any technically, but we're going to have to, I think, cut down on the amount of locos that there are, and I think a few will have to go before some come in. My friend Kelly Ashford also does that with her collection, mainly because she's got to be very strict with the amount that she has. I don't have to be, and I don't want to have a restriction on how many numbers I've got, but I do want a restriction on how many locos I don't use. So I want all of the locos I have to be in the collection for a reason and for a purpose, and 99% of them are. It's just that handful that aren't, which are taking up a little bit of space that I don't really use much. So or need, like some of them I don't really need because I've got locos for things, and it's just like I'd rather have quite a big substantial collection of expensive super detail models rather than like lower end stuff. The collectible locos obviously are a thing. I don't really use them often. I use the shunter actually, the diesel one, but I don't really use them that much. But that's because they're Hornby collectible locos, and I'd rather have them a side part of, whereas part of the collection, but that I don't necessarily use them because of them being collectible locos. So it's just one of those. Obviously, I will probably do an update video if any of them are going to be going, and a collection update video on that subject. But until then, all the locos are going to remain, etc. Just got to consider what I need to do financially, especially with the car as well being an absolute nightmare. So, yeah. We will stop this one in a second, and we will get the next couple of locos on the track. I overshot. Well done me. Oh, that's dead anyway. Right, let's go. Next one. Right, it is Thomas. I wonder if you can see if it's discoloured or not on camera. Don't know if you'll be able to see. But, yeah. That is Thomas, Annie and Clarabelle. And they're going the wrong way. There we go. Yeah, this loco doesn't run that well either, to be fair. Quite loud. Doesn't look particularly brilliant either. So, don't know what I'm going to do with this. And I really, rarely use this. I rarely use Percy as well, but I do like Percy. But I rarely use the two of them, so don't know what's going to happen with them. I don't know whether I want Thomas and Friends locos in my collection. I want it to be semi-realistic. If I was to get them, I'd probably get Bachmann ones anyway. Well, I wouldn't get Bachmann Thomas. I don't know. Would I get Bachmann Thomas? I don't know. I do want a Bachmann Henry though, to be fair. I do want a Henry. Henry's probably the only one I'd ever have. I'd rather have Henry than Thomas and Percy. I'd rather just get Henry. And just have him, because he's like my favourite character that's ever been in it. And I do like it a lot. But he's the only one I'd have, pretty much. Possibly Gordon at one, like, if I had to, but I wouldn't have any others. Unless they made Rebecca, that's the only other one I'd probably get, because it's West Country and they're cool locos. But new, I want Henry only. So maybe I get rid of Thomas and Percy for Henry, who knows? I might do, may as well. That's quite a loud loco. It is a bit louder than you'd expect, but never mind. I don't like that Annie and Clara either, because obviously they're not proper. They're not like the Bachmann ones are super realistic. Actually, to be fair, I'd probably have Bachmann Emily. That's the only other one I'd have, and I'd have the matching coaches with Emily as well. But the problem is with the older Bachmann ones is the new like Bachmann Henry and the Gordon and stuff are fine. But the older ones are a little bit dodgy on the motor side, so I probably wouldn't. But I'd just have a Henry. I'd literally just have Henry. Get rid of Thomas and Percy. I don't need them. I don't use them. I would use Henry. I'd love Henry. He's just like such an... He is the G. He's like such a great guy. And it can pull both passenger and... Not passenger, you know what I mean. So, goods as well, so it's a useful engine, shall we say. So, whereas these don't often get used, so yeah. Right. I'm getting back to the more nicer locos after this one. Because look, we have this bad boy, which I'm keeping this, I love this. And I'm going to get a matching Bachmann one. Camera's not focusing, there we go. Number 23 I think it is the Bachmann one. I'm going to get that to match, and then I'm going to get other S&DJR locos as well. I want to get the new Hornby release ones as well. I might stick those on pre-order as well, actually, because they're quite cool. The 2P and the 3F, I think it is. Or is it the 4F? I don't know. Something like that. They're sick. They're not the most detailed locos in the world, but as I've said, I'd rather have, like, they are modern, they are relatively cool, and they're S&DJR, and I want an S&DJR collection of locos. The only one I'll then need is the blue 7F, because I'll have the blue of everything else, so, and 2 Jinty, so yeah. I do have a 7F in S&DJR black, so technically the full collection will be sorted then. So yeah. Right, let's get on to the Jinty. Right, that is the Jinty, and this is a gorgeous loco. I do like this a lot. This is definitely a keeper. This was gifted to me by Kelly Ashford, but I do like this a lot. I've just got a soft spot for it, and it does run actually quite well. So, and it looks good. And I would do want a matching Bachmann one, because it'll be just nice to have both then. So, and they will run together. They'll both run together. They'll pull coaches often together. So it's not like I'm going to get one to replace the other. It's just so I could have the matching pair, and it'll look cool. I do have a soft spot for S&DJR. I do like them a lot. So that's the plan, but they are a bit pricey, those Bachmann ones, so I've got to wait until I can afford to get one. But these look good. This one's the one I like. I do like this. It's one of those less detailed locomotives that I'm going to be keeping for like pretty much forever. So just runs really well though compared to Thomas, and it's got a similar chassis as well. But I just think that for the proper release locos, they actually put a bit more effort into them to make them run better, whereas with the Thomas ones, because they're like toys and stuff, they geared them a bit higher, made them a bit faster, didn't make them as good runners and stuff. So even though this is a railroad locomotive, it still runs pretty well, so I would say it just runs really well, like constant speed, and it looks good with those coaches as well. Actually, they are LMS coaches, but they look quite nice. The only S&DJR liveried loco I probably wouldn't get is the Johnson 1P, because I'd have a Johnson 1P in the Midland Railways crimson red, crimson lake red colour. And also they're incredibly difficult to get because I think they're part of the Bachmann Collectors Club. I mean, if I was to go for the full hog and have the full S&DJR collection, I'd have to get the 7F in the blue as well, so that's impossible. So, yeah. But I'm pretty much going to have an S&DJR fleet. I could probably make a model railway out of the ones I've got, well, that I'll have. I've got 2 at the minute, that's not bad going. There's 2 Hornby releases that are going to eventually turn up, because they're like, Hornby are like Elon Musk with promising locos, they don't come out particularly efficiently or when promised. So, God knows when that could be. But yeah, waiting for those. Oh, they are a bit pricey actually, to be fair, for what is basically quite a basic 2P and a basic 4F. But it's S&DJR, so I don't mind. The 7F was quite expensive. In fact, it was very expensive. I can't remember how much exactly it was. I'm sure I've got receipts, but I don't know. Wasn't cheap. That's all I can say. Quite a pricey thing. Right, we've now got the last 3 locomotives after this Jinty, and we'll get to those now for you. Now we have a gorgeous Dapol Class 68 in Trans-Pennine Express livery. We are back to the super premium locomotives now with this one, so let's enjoy this one for a couple of minutes. Right, and that is the Class 68. Gorgeous thing. Absolutely adore this. Very splendid indeed, isn't it? So, yeah, penultimate locomotive now. We're going to go steam and then back to diesel for the finale, which is one of my favourite locomotives in the entire collection. So, let's get to the next locomotive, which is a steam loco. And there we go, that is the penultimate locomotive, the Princess Coronation class by the LMS. It's a Hornby one in BR lined blue, and it has the coaches it also came with. This is the most recent member to the collection, but hoping to get some more locos very soon. So let's get going. So now we're going to go on to the very last locomotive of the day. And we are finishing off with one of my favourite locomotives in the entire collection, and the second most expensive locomotive in the entire collection. It's the most expensive diesel, and the second most expensive loco I have. The most expensive being the Hush Hush. This diesel cost me 201 quid. It's one of 552 ever made, and it is Old Oak Common, the Class 47 in Network Southeast livery, which is one of my favourite liveries for diesels. I love Network Southeast. I'm going to have a couple of Network Southeast locomotives eventually, and I'm going to get some coaches as well because I love the matching coaches. I'm a bit obsessed. Anyway, this is one of my favourite locos, and we're going to conclude the day with this beast. So let's get to it. This is also a Bachmann one, so obviously it's got all the bells and whistles. It's very, very expensive, super modern diesel locomotive. Super modern, super detailed with the lights, etc. So, yeah, I've always wanted this locomotive and was super happy to get it. Just, by the way, the lights don't actually flash. They may well flash for you guys because that's the camera not being able to capture LEDs. Any form of LEDs will flash on camera, but obviously they don't flash in person. So, if they do flash, then that's not actually how they look. They are solid colour, as they're supposed to be, but it's just because of the camera not being able to pick up the LEDs. So it was probably like that on the 68 before as well, just in case you was wondering. This is gorgeous. Just look at it. How can you, even if you don't like diesels, you can't say this isn't stunning. I mean, I'm more steam than diesel, but I like a lot of diesels, and this is one of. Like, this is my favourite diesel ever, the Class 47 in this livery. Dramatic light change because the sun went behind a cloud. And that is us done for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon for some more videos. Obviously, make sure to subscribe if you enjoy the channel and the content. And yeah, bye for now.